From Classified, Hidden Histories, July 28, 1973, was the last normal day in Dr. Marcus Fletcher's life. That morning, while working in his laboratory at Sydney University, his radiation detector began giving abnormal readings. At first, he thought it was a simple equipment malfunction, but when he checked, what he saw froze him in place. The radiation source didn't resemble any known element. This was material that the scientific world had never discovered before. Fletcher didn't know at that moment that this discovery would make him both his country's greatest hero and its biggest enemy. And just 72 hours later, Dr. Marcus Fletcher would be erased from Australia's official records. This story is based on classified documents found 30 years later. The story of a scientist's brave pursuit, the government's dark secrets, and a discovery that could change the world. Dr. Marcus Fletcher, 42 years old, was one of the brightest minds in Sydney University's nuclear physics department. That July morning, he arrived at his laboratory at 7:30 a.m. as usual. Sipping his coffee, he reviewed the radiation analysis he had left unfinished the night before. Fletcher was an academic working on Australia's nuclear energy program. Officially, he was researching clean energy sources. But in recent months, he had begun encountering suspicious findings. That morning, when he turned on the radiation detector for routine checks, the device picked up an abnormal signal. The values appearing on the screen were at levels he had never seen before. But even stranger, this radiation didn't match any known isotope. "This is impossible," Fletcher muttered. He turned the device off and on again. The result was the same. Fletcher wanted to examine this anomaly in more detail. He began analyzing it with the advanced spectrometer in his laboratory. The results revealed a reality he never expected. This radiation was coming from an element not found in the periodic table. At that moment, a terrifying suspicion entered Fletcher's mind. Could the government be running a secret nuclear program without his knowledge? Fletcher decided to take radiation readings from other departments at the university that day. He walked through every floor of the physics building, secretly taking measurements. The results were astonishing. The radiation was coming only from specific areas. The highest readings came from the building's basement and from a nearby research center. Fletcher was aware of this center's existence, but had never been able to enter it. It was always kept closed under the excuse of military research. That night at home, Fletcher began taking notes of his findings. The radiation level was 20 times higher than normal background radiation. Most importantly, this radiation was coming from an unknown source. Fletcher's wife, Helen, noticed her husband's worried state. "Marcus, you've been very tense lately. Is there a problem at work?" Fletcher hesitated to tell his wife the truth, but the magnitude of this discovery excited him. "Helen, I think I've discovered something very big, but I'm not sure yet." "What kind of thing?" "A new element. Something never seen before." Helen understood her husband's scientific excitement, but she also knew he could sometimes be overly optimistic. "Are you sure, Marcus? That's a very big claim." "I'm sure, Helen. but I need to find out where this discovery comes from. The next day, Fletcher decided to talk to his colleague, Dr. Robert Chen. Chen was the most experienced radiation expert at the university, and Fletcher trusted him. "Robert, what I'm going to show you is very important, but I need you not to tell anyone about it." When Chen examined Fletcher's findings, he couldn't hide his amazement. "Marcus, are these readings real? Did you double-check them?" "I checked 3 times. This radiation is coming from a source we don't know." Chen conducted a more careful examination. "This spectral signature, it's something I've never seen. It's as if the atom's internal structure is different." While the 2 scientists discussed the meaning of this discovery, another fear came to Fletcher's mind. "Robert, what if this radiation isn't natural? What if someone is artificially producing this element?" Chen became increasingly worried as he considered this possibility. "Marcus, if this is true, its military applications could be very dangerous." "That's exactly what I'm thinking. This element could multiply the power of nuclear weapons." At that moment, Fletcher understood how important this discovery was, not only scientifically, but also for humanity. Fletcher decided to conduct a more systematic investigation to find the source of the radiation. He mapped every corner of the university campus, measuring radiation levels. The results showed a strange pattern. The highest radiation was coming from the north side of the campus. In this area, approximately 5 kilometers away, there was a facility officially called the Agricultural Research Center. Fletcher decided to investigate this facility. According to official records, this center conducted genetic studies on wheat and barley. But Fletcher's radiation readings told a completely different story. On Saturday, when Fletcher approached the facility, the sight he saw surprised him. The place, called an agricultural center, was actually a high-security facility. It was surrounded by barbed wire, security cameras, and armed guards. Fletcher began observing the facility from a distance. The radiation detector gave crazy signals as he approached the facility. This was definitely not agricultural research. That night at home, while Fletcher was reviewing his findings, he faced a terrifying reality. This facility could be part of the Australian government's secret nuclear weapons program. Fletcher began researching the nuclear weapons potential of the element he had discovered. Theoretical calculations gave horrifying results. This element could increase the power of existing nuclear weapons by 100 times. Even worse, this element didn't produce radioactive waste. This made it a clean nuclear weapon. Such a weapon could destroy cities without causing environmental damage. Fletcher understood what this discovery meant for humanity. If this technology fell into the wrong hands, world history could change. That night, Fletcher talked to his wife. "Helen, I think I'm facing something very dangerous." "What do you mean, Marcus?" "The element I discovered. This isn't just a scientific finding. This is a weapon that could destroy humanity." Helen saw her husband's seriousness. "Marcus, what are you planning to do?" "I need to expose this discovery. People should know about its existence." "But this could be very dangerous. What if the government tries to stop you?" Fletcher had considered this risk, but his conscience left him no other choice. "Helen, if I stay silent about this, much greater disasters could happen in the future." August 2nd, 1973, when Fletcher arrived at his laboratory, he found an envelope on his desk. Inside was a short but clear message. Dr. Fletcher, terminate your research. This would be better for you and your family. Fletcher decided to take this threat seriously. It was no longer just a scientific discovery, but a vital security matter. That day, he called Dr. Chen to explain the situation. "Robert, I think I've gotten into big trouble." "Marcus, maybe you should slow down this research a bit." "I can't slow down, Robert. This is too important." Chen could see his friend's determination, but was also worried. "Marcus, if the government is this sensitive about this issue, there must be something really dangerous." Fletcher knew Chen was right, but he also believed this discovery needed to be exposed. That evening, Fletcher began putting his findings into a detailed report. This report included both scientific data and his suspicions about the secret facility. August 5th, 1973, when Fletcher completed his report, he knew this document would have historical importance. The report stated, "This new element is the most powerful nuclear material discovered to date. Its military applications could completely change the world balance of power. There are strong suspicions that the Australian government is secretly producing this element." Fletcher decided to hide copies of the report in different places. He hid one in his home's basement, one in the university's safe, and gave one to Chen. That same day, Fletcher began communicating with international media. This discovery needed to be announced to world public opinion. He called BBC's Sydney correspondent James Morrison. "Mr. Morrison, I'm going to give you very important news, but our meeting must be secret." Morrison, understanding Fletcher's seriousness, agreed to the meeting. In the evening hours, they met at a cafe in Sydney Harbor. Fletcher explained his findings to Morrison. "This element can increase the power of nuclear weapons to incredible levels, and the Australian government is hiding this." Morrison understood the magnitude of the story. "Dr. Fletcher, these are very serious allegations. Do you have evidence?" Fletcher showed radiation readings and spectral analyses. Morrison was impressed by the authenticity of this data. "Preparing this news will take some time. I'll contact you again tomorrow." On the night of August 6, 1973, Fletcher was at home with his family. His wife Helen and 2 children, Sarah and Michael, could sense his tension. "Daddy, why are you so worried?" asked 8-year-old Sarah. Fletcher tried to smile at his daughter. "I'm just thinking about work, sweetheart." But actually, Fletcher was wondering what would happen the next day. Would the BBC broadcast the news? How would the government react? At midnight, Fletcher woke up to hear car sounds outside the house. When he looked out the window, he saw a black sedan parked on the street. 2 men inside were watching Fletcher's house. Fletcher realized he was no longer dealing with just a theoretical threat, but a real security problem. Towards morning, Fletcher wrote one last letter. This letter explained where Helen should go if something happened to him. "Dear Helen, if you're reading this letter, it means things didn't go as I planned. Give the documents I hid at home to BBC correspondent James Morrison. He will know what to do." August 7th, 1973, At 8:30 a.m., when Fletcher arrived at the university, there were unexpected guests in his laboratory. Two men in suits, with serious expressions, were waiting for Fletcher. "Dr. Fletcher, we need to talk to you." "Who are you?" "From the National Security Council. We have some concerns about your recent research." Fletcher knew this moment would come. "Which research?" "Dr. Fletcher, please come with us. It won't take long." Fletcher understood what this short conversation really meant, but he had no other choice. As he left the laboratory, Fletcher saw Dr. Chen. When they made eye contact, Chen noticed his fearful gaze. Fletcher didn't return home that afternoon. Helen, worried about her husband, called the university. What she was told was surprising. Dr. Fletcher didn't come to work today. He said he took leave due to a family emergency. But Helen knew there was no such family emergency. After his friend's disappearance, Dr. Chen tried to continue Fletcher's research. But when he went to the laboratory, he saw that all of Fletcher's files had disappeared. Chen reported the situation to the university administration, but the answer he received was surprising. "Dr. Chen, we have no record of Dr. Fletcher working here." "That's impossible. He's been working here for 5 years. "Sorry, Dr. Chen, but we have no such person in our records." Chen understood that Fletcher's existence had been erased from official records. This was the work of a very powerful organization. Helen Fletcher reported her husband's disappearance to the police. But the police were also acting strangely. "Mrs. Fletcher, there's no evidence that Dr. Fletcher was exposed to any danger. Perhaps he left of his own accord." "This is ridiculous. My husband wouldn't leave without telling me anything." But the police were unwilling to investigate further. In 2003, workers at an old mine site near Sydney found a metal box. Inside the box were documents written in Dr. Marcus Fletcher's handwriting. These documents detailed Fletcher's last days before his disappearance. Most importantly, they contained all his findings about the secret nuclear program. The worker who found the documents showed them to local journalist Sarah Williams. Williams, understanding the magnitude of the story, began a detailed investigation. Williams found Fletcher's wife, Helen. Helen was still wondering about her husband's fate even after 30 years. "Mrs. Fletcher, were these documents written by your husband?" Helen, recognizing the handwriting, burst into tears. "Yes. This is Marcus's writing. So he really had discovered something important." Williams continued her investigation based on the information in the documents. She learned that the Agricultural Research Center from 1973 was actually a secret nuclear facility. Williams's investigation yielded surprising results. The Australian government had indeed run a secret nuclear weapons program in the 1970s. This program had officially never existed. Declassified documents showed that the element Fletcher discovered was real. This element had been used in military research under the code Element 114. Even more surprising, it emerged that this element was still being used in modern nuclear weapons. Fletcher's warning from 30 years ago was now even more relevant. When Williams published the story, It caused a great shock in world public opinion. The Australian government initially denied the allegations, but the evidence was too strong. Finally, the government admitted that some secret research had been conducted in the 1970s for national security reasons. But they gave no information about Dr. Fletcher's fate. Dr. Chen, in his 2003 interview with Williams, described Fletcher. Marcus was a very brave scientist. He believed that science should be used for humanity. If a discovery was dangerous, he thought it wasn't right to hide it. Fletcher's daughter, Sarah, was 38 years old at the time. She was shocked when she learned her father's story. "I now understand how brave my father was. He was thinking not just about family safety, but about the safety of all humanity." Research on the modern use of element 114 showed that Fletcher's fears were justified. This element had indeed multiplied the power of nuclear weapons. The International Atomic Energy Agency announced that such research should be conducted with transparency. Fletcher's case showed the importance of ethics and security issues in scientific research as of 2024. The fate of Dr. Marcus Fletcher is still unknown. In official records, there is no trace that such a person ever existed, but the documents Fletcher left behind are still referenced in modern nuclear security discussions. The element he discovered is still used in the most secret military projects today. Helen Fletcher passed away in 2010. In her last interview, she said, "I could never learn how Marcus disappeared, but I will never forget the sacrifice he made for humanity." Sydney University established a scholarship in Dr. Fletcher's honor in 2005. This scholarship is given to students working on scientific ethics and courage. The old Agricultural Research Center building is still standing today. But now real agricultural research is being conducted there. Radiation levels are within normal limits. After retirement, Dr. Chen wrote a book telling Fletcher's story. The book's title, The Lost Scientist, Marcus Fletcher's Brave Struggle. Dr. Marcus Fletcher's story raises important questions about the power and responsibility of science. Should a scientist hide a dangerous discovery, or should they warn humanity? Fletcher tried to warn humanity by ignoring his own safety. This courage cost him his life. But his warning is still valid today. The existence of element 114 is now a scientific fact. But as Fletcher feared, the military use of this element still poses a threat to world peace. Fletcher's words in his last letter are even more meaningful today. Science should illuminate humanity's future, not darken it. If a discovery endangers the world, it cannot be kept as a secret. In the modern world, the control of nuclear technology is still one of the most important security issues. Fletcher's sacrifice adds an important perspective to discussions on this topic. Dr. Marcus Fletcher physically disappeared, but his legacy continues to live on. He continues to be an example of a scientist concerned with the ethical side of science. His story reminds us, some truths, no matter how dangerous, cannot be hidden, because hidden truth, sooner or later, leads to greater dangers. The element Fletcher discovered is still among us, but it's no longer secret, and this is perhaps his greatest achievement. From Classified, Hidden Histories, that's all for this week. Don't forget to subscribe for our future stories.